Thursday, August 13th, 2026. We are going to get started on today's daily collective read in the next few minutes. But if you would like to get on the list for today, the list, as always, is open. As always, it is 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers. Links in my bio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. We're also doing 2 giveaways today. Our first reading giveaway is going to be a reading giveaway when we get to 50K likes, so make sure you're tapping that screen. We will get to 50K in no time. The other reading giveaway we're doing today is a reading giveaway for the highest gifter between now and the conclusion of the daily collective read. So I wish you a lot of luck if you are participating in that giveaway as well. Prior to beginning today's daily collective read, I'll be giving a brief recap on what we've been seeing in the cards over the last few days. If you'd like to find that full reading, you can find it over on the place where we keep the videos. You can also find it on the place where we keep the photos. You can also find it as a podcast over on my spot and over on my stack. How we doing? We had a I tried to tell you, okay? I tried to tell you that this new moon was going to feel a lot like a full moon, okay? It's a new moon at the same time that we're experiencing an eclipse can be very intense, right? A lot of feelings can come to the surface, but, and I was saying this leading up into that full moon, new moon, right? We feel it in order to heal it, right? The observation of being able to recognize and understand why we feel things strongly is often in the space by which we're able to identify fortified feelings. This is a new moon all about fortified feelings, which is working through the observation of feelings that are absolutely reasonable to feel. And when we're going, and it's a continuation of a lot of the work that we've been seeing that has been resulting in, like, I want to say over the last year or so with so many planets that have been moving very slowly through Aries, right? This is a bit of the work that we can see as a continuation of coming out of Pluto being in Capricorn so long into Pluto that's moving into Aquarius, right? It's the clarification that feelings are not a problem, rather than understanding the reason by which we feel the way we do, right? Because what effectively happens in situations and circumstances that are completely unacceptable, it's going to be completely reasonable for you to have feelings about it. But the ability to somehow feel like our feelings are a problem is a lot of the work that we see that's potentially healing during this time, because it's the observation that if your feelings have an energetic solution that would allow the feelings to go away, right? Then feeling feelings is healing because it shows you where the work needs to go. At the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if you're going through energy like this and you're seeing the opposite that potentially occurs in the experience of navigating unreasonable feelings. And what do we mean? And this is why we talk about the fact that no 2 feelings are alike. There are reasonable feelings and there are unreasonable feelings. And why do we effectively determine the difference between reasonable feelings and unreasonable feelings? Because reasonable feelings have a solution, right? A feeling is reasonable if there is a clear solution that would allow the feelings to change or to move into something that is energetically better. However, a lot of the work that we see that may be occurring right now is navigating and healing from trauma that was based upon or built upon having to carry, right? Having to effectively carry one's own feelings in the face of unreasonable circumstances or situations. This is a culmination of what we're effectively identifying or have been working through as we've moved into this most recent relationship cycle, which you'll recall began back in May during that Taurus new moon in Taurus season. So this is a culmination of a lot of those strength relationships. And we even saw, it was very funny because I got the spread here from yesterday. When I drew upon the spread, I identified and I pointed out the fact that I've got 2 different decks that I work with, and one of the old cards was in the new deck, and that's why we ended up with 2 world cards in yesterday's reading. You can see that full spread over on the stack. But for a lot of the relationships that are coming together right now, these are relationships that are working into the beautiful situation and circumstances of what it means to be in relationships where there's an observation of fortified healing, being able to see and identify what needs to change, and then being able to resolve upon it just as easily. So, what are we effectively identifying that's occurring in those experiences? Either individuals who are in solitude, who are building into the feeling of honoring their emotions, specifically and particularly through the observation that having feelings is perfectly reasonable. If there's something that could change, that it would allow the feelings to go away, right? Those are how our feelings act as our shields, because they show us things that need to change. Or simultaneously and similarly, new relationships that are coming together at this time with that feeling of resolution. And why do we see a lot of that resolution there? Because the resolution that we see that's coming into those relationships is being fortified in terms of being able to identify and articulate upon a healthy relationship to one's feelings, right? And this is the continuation of what we see in these strength relationships, because it's a conversation that states that there's no greater strength than having a healthy relationship to one's feelings, because when you're having a healthy relationship to one's feelings, you're able to apply those feelings in ways that allow for something to become strengthened or changed. So we see that a lot of that energy is occurring in those experiences. And even as they're doing so, there may be a lot of conversation that's potentially happening in the quality and condition of feeling that sense of solidarity, right? Because the solidarity they're energetically feeling has a lot to do with the ability to be able to discern between reasonable and unreasonable feelings. Now, this brings us into the relationships that are moving deeper into divine union right now. And these are specifically the world relationships. Now, the world relationships were coming together between the time of that new moon in Taurus leading into that Capricorn new moon that we experienced in Capricorn season in late January. Now, these relationships are moving through things very expeditiously. They're potentially seeing breathtaking change. And why do we see that these relationships are potentially navigating breathtaking change? Because it's coming through the observation and the understanding of quality and conditions by which one is able to see how quickly manifestations come into being when you are working towards unified approaches. So these unified approaches that they're finding in partnership are probably bringing a lot of expedience to plans, but at the same time, the reason that it's potentially breathtaking is that same energy that we are observing that's working through the context of the observation of what it is that they themselves are navigating currently. It's giving context to any of those situations in the past that were moving more slowly. That observation and that understanding in terms of what is potentially being, like, what they're letting go of, right? There's a lot of potential healing that's happening in those experiences. And there may even be some frustrating feelings that are arriving because the present relationship is giving them a new sense of healthy timing. Now, this brings us to the relationships that are deep within divine union, and these are effectively the moon relationships. They were the relationships that were coming together between the time of that Capricorn new moon that we experienced in January, leading into Uranus first going retrograde, all the way back in September of last year. These relationships that are deep within divine union right now may be going through a lot of fine tuning, taking the time to step back in order to energetically perfect something. And at the same time that they're doing so, they're learning about healthy and unhealthy relationships. Because if these are relationships that are stepping back in order to do what's necessary, in order to fine tune, and others are up in their feelings about it, right? That observation of recognizing circumstances or situations by which others were not honoring their presence or honoring their own energetic effort, it's helping them contextualize and understand what it is that they effectively need to change. Specifically, because I just keep on seeing that for a lot of these relationships, working tirelessly, right? Working tirelessly should be should be a gift, not a requirement. And that's why if these are relationships that are stepping back from something and others are potentially feeling a lot of emotions that are arising, that information is giving them all they need to know in relation to what it is they are working to clear or to heal or to step away from. Because I just keep on getting the same message there, which says working tirelessly is a gift, it's not a requirement. And when another individual moves away from something in order to energetically fine tune something further, and another is deep in their feelings about it, it tells them all they need to know in terms of what it is that they're trying to heal away from. Now that is a recap on what we were seeing energetically in yesterday's read. Now, if you want to see that full reading, you can find it over on the place where we keep the videos. You can also find it on the place where we keep the photos. You can also find it as a podcast over on my spot at Tarot Church and over on my stack. I would also encourage you to head over to my stack to learn more about our next tarot class, which is going to be happening on Friday, tomorrow, August 14th at 5:30 p.m. PST, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We are going to be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the three cards of the minor arcana. If you would like to become a part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is head on over to my stack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my stack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a paid monthly subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive. Now, it's not necessary to catch up. I'll be doing my best to give you an update on everything we've studied prior to beginning that next class, but the material is there for you to receive as you're ready to receive it. You'll also have access to you'll also have access to a chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything we are learning or have currently previously studied. And if you become a founding member, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of readings, but you'll also have access to over 20 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive, as well as the opportunity of receiving a complimentary mentorship class with me, where I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage, moving towards your tarot goals going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes is make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my stack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletters there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule, and my Mystic Meditation articles, which give you updates on everything we've been seeing or experiencing in the cards. I just wrote one recently on this new moon that we're navigating. You can find it over there. Finally, I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly, as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey, as well as my dream interpretation readings, which you can purchase per dream or as a series. If you purchase a series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. But let me know in the comments how this energy is impacting you personally, because it is going to hit everyone just a little bit differently. I'm going to take a few minutes to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. If you would like to get on the list right now, it's an absolutely lovely time to get on the list. We do have one individual who has priority today who will be read for before we start the Daily Collective. Anyone who gets on the list right now will be read for once we complete the Daily Collective. Excellent. Good to see you today, Layla and Sunny. Absolutely. The list we have right now is Stella. If I have named you and you are not on the list, you just need to let me know the place that you sent the payment. Just give me the initial. I don't need the full name, and we'll go from there. How you doing today, Ivana? Thank you for liking the live. Oh my gosh, really? Really? Oh, sending you so much support on that journey, dear. Absolutely. How you doing today, Creative? Good to see you. Excellent. Oh, thank you so much, Nikki. I appreciate it. Good to see you today, and thank you for sharing the live. John, I need to point out, you are just coming in here. You know nothing about me. You know nothing about what I believe. If you're going to talk about Yahshua talked about performing good deeds, having care and love for others, not coming into a space where you effectively condemn things that you don't understand. So I see you invoking Yahshua's name, but I need to ask, are you living by their doctrine? Because you coming in here and stating and literally insulting me, not knowing anything about what you're finding here, is you actually moving antithetically to the doctrine of Yahshua. So I hope that you're able to recognize that. I hope you find the healing that you seek, and I hope that you're able to return back to that book and understand what what Yahshua was truly trying to say to you. Absolutely. I hope you have a beautiful day, and thank you so much, Ron, for sharing the live. Always appreciate when you guys share the live. I got you on the list, dear. Excellent. How are you doing today, AD? Welcome. And welcome to those who are joining us over on the place where we keep the videos. Excellent. How are you doing today, Nikki? Good to see you. All right, just bear with me one moment. Excellent. How are you doing today, Jean? Welcome, Martin. Absolutely. I hope you're having a beautiful day, Daniela. Good to see you today. Excellent. And thank you so much. All right, we are going to get started. As I mentioned, the first person that we're reading for today is going to be Stella. Stella, if you're here, can you let me know if we're doing a general reading or if you have a specific question you'd like me to answer? And if anybody else would care to get on the list for today, you will be the first person read for once we complete the Daily Collective. Absolutely. Thank you for confirming, dear. And just a reminder, friends, if you have information that you feel is necessary or relevant for our reads, you can include it in the notes when you send the donation. You can also post it in our subscriber-only disco channel in the appropriate channels. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I understand, dear. Excellent. We're doing angelic guidance read. For those who are interested in getting on the list, we read for here highest priority messages from spirit. We also read here dream interpretation, mediumship, angelic, akashic, past life, love, relationship, guide messages, life path, symbol decoding, and mind, body, spirit, as well as pet readings and animal guide readings. If you would like to get on the list, you'll be the second person read for. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the messages that came through for this read. Mm-hmm. I got you, dear. All right. And before we continue with Stella's read, let's warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal oracle cards here. We're going to count back from 10, and when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the water dragon. We'll do that again after the next reading. And angelic, please, 4 cards. And thank you for being the first person on the list today. You'll actually have an additional card in your read. And one more, please. So the one thing I'm seeing in relation to this reading, and I feel like we're kind of finding you in this location energetically, is it's perfectly reasonable for you to have feelings that feel like when you're healing, you're going to have more feelings related to the experiences in the past that caused you pain, right? Because what you're basically navigating, right? And this is what I'm seeing that the angelic's trying to articulate upon. When you, as you're moving through something emotionally, I feel like I see that your emotions are coming back to you, right? This is why we talk about the hard part about navigating trauma is that trauma tries to make us feel like our feelings are unreasonable, right? So even in the quality, right, you're basically navigating situations, right? You're healing from a lot of trauma that is built upon or based upon another person's negation, right? And when another person is energetically negating, they effectively try to articulate to us in some way, shape, form, or fashion that us having feelings about the fact that they're hurting us was creating a problem for them, right? Like that is what we see that you're feeling, right? You're having a lot of feelings based upon another person's unreasonable negation, which is the space by which you articulated to them the fact that you had feelings and the fact that they were trying to energetically dismiss them. It's a terrible way to feel, right? Because when we're working into that terrible way of feeling basically helps you see, and I want you to understand this, that experience of them doing so is because they don't have any feelings, right? Like that's effectively what you see there. They're working, and remember when I said the angelic's trying to articulate that you having feelings protected. I feel like you need to write this down because we every time I read for you it comes up. You having feelings about something protected you from being a part of another person's miserable experience. I'm gonna keep, I know it's painful, and I'm gonna keep writing it down for you here because that's the message that keeps on coming through from the angelic, right? You having feelings about something protected you from being a part of another person's miserable experience. And the thing about it, right, the thing that's so painful when you're working through experiences and healing in that way is having to recognize, and I think that this is the thing about it, when you recognize that somebody's miserable in that way, there's no feelings that you can bring to them, right? That aren't going to show you more how miserable they are, right? Because you have to understand, and that's the thing about it, right? I see somebody that was like that is working into, and again, even when I was reading upon this before, right? That observation of another, and this is the worst thing about it, the observation of another working through, right? The observation of another working through circumstances or situations by which they themselves are articulating upon their own misery, right? Like what the angelic saying is, there's nothing you can do to them that's worse than what they've done to themselves. That's what I'm seeing here, right? There's nothing when you see somebody in that state. There's nothing that you could do that would make them even like it's like they're in that state for a reason. And any energy, like this is what I keep on saying, any energy that you give to it, right? Any energy that you give to it builds into the context of them trying to articulate, right? Builds into the context of them trying to articulate or state, like the observation on what is like, and here's the thing I would basically navigate, okay? If you have feelings, right? If you have feelings related to it that feel like there's something that they could do that would create a state of energetic healing, right? Then those are the reasonable feelings to have, right? The quality and condition by which one is able to articulate and work into the feeling that has a direction attached to it, right? But if those feelings that you're feeling are directed towards the identification point of hurt, right? Then if anything, what you basically see is happening is that is why you have to work away from that, because, right, that the hurt just compounds the hurt, right? And when I say the hurt compounds the hurt, is that is the expressing of the wound that turns you into them, right? That's what happens. It's the expressing of the wound that turns you into them. If you allow the shape of those feelings to be directed toward them in the desire to see them hurt more, because the hurt is why they did it to you in the first place, right? Bottom of the deck. Yeah. Right? Like that is understanding the nature of the trauma that another individual carries, right? When you understand and recognize that the hurt was what brought them to you in the first place, then when you are giving them hurt without direct action, then you're fortifying, right? You're fortifying their feelings in having done something even further. And I know that that's not, I know that that's not, I know that that's not what you intend, but that's how they'll energetically receive it, which is why if you're working through those feelings, right, allow them to be what you build back, what you build better towards, right? Allowing the observation of being able to articulate and amplify on the conditions to allow for something beautiful to be experienced in the shape of another person's depravity. So that doesn't mean that you don't have to honor your feelings, but that is, I feel like that's where we see a lot of that shadow work arriving to you. How, when we talk about honoring our feelings, when we're honoring our feelings, right? It's not the fact that we don't have difficult feelings, but we say to ourselves, where can I put these feelings that they heal instead of cause more harm? Thank you so much for having that reading with me, Stella. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. If you would like to get on the list for a personal reading, the list is open. You will be the first person read for once we complete the daily collective. It is 3 cards for a donation of $29 or more. 4 cards for a donation of $23 or more for my subscribers. Links in my bio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. Excellent. And Ram, thank you for sharing the live. Always appreciated. Excellent. How you doing today, AD? Yes, we also do dream interpretation here, dear. And if you want to have a dream interpreted, all you need to do is put it in the notes when you send the donation, or put it in our subscriber only disco channel in the appropriate channels. How you doing today, Adams? Okay, if you want to get on the list for that, all you need to do is send the donation. I'll be happy to read for it. And you'll actually, it's a good time to get on the list for a dream interpretation right now, because we've got some time. Like, we're about to get started on the daily collective, so you have time to write it down. Excellent. How you doing today, Heather? Excellent. And welcome. How you doing today, hey? For anybody interested in getting on the list, if you have a question that you would like answered, all you need to do is send the donation. I'll be happy to read for you. And for those who are joining us over on the place where we keep the videos, your donation, your paid membership there will also include it will also include a 1 card reading each day, as well as the discount on the donation, which is 4 cards for $23, as opposed to 3 for $29. Just bear with me a moment. I know. Thank you. How you doing today, Kay? Excellent. And Tammy, did you get on the list for a reading? I'm happy to read for you if you're on the list. I just need you to send me the initial where you sent the donation. You're so welcome, dear. And Dada, thank you for sharing the live. Always appreciate when you guys share the live. If you guys could do me a favor and share this live, we are going to get started on our daily collective in the next few minutes. But prior to beginning, let's warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal oracle cards here. We're going to count back from 10. And when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the cat. We'll do that again after the next reading. And as I mentioned, if anybody else would like to, if you are on the hold list and would like to get on the list to be read for once we complete the daily collective. All you need to do is let me know the date that you are added to the hold list, and I'll be happy to add you back as well. And also, please remember that we are doing 2 different giveaways today. Our first reading giveaway is going to be a reading giveaway when we get to 50K likes. So make sure that you are tapping that screen and we will get to 50K in no time. The other giveaway we're doing today is a reading giveaway for the highest gifter between now and the conclusion of the daily collective read. So I wish you a lot of luck if you're participating in that giveaway as well. As I mentioned, if you guys could do me a favor and share this live, always appreciated. Make sure anyone who would like to catch this reading live is here to receive it. And that said, get this set up here. Thank you, dear. One moment. Excellent. All right. No better time than the present. Why don't we get started? Welcome, everyone. Happy Thursday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Thursday, August 13th, 2026. We are going to be doing tarot astrology today for all of the signs. We started last time with our Pisces. We're going to start with Aries today. What are we seeing right now in this new moon energy? Can I please get 3 cards for our Aries? Aries, sun, moon, and rising. What do we have for you arriving right now? We have the 5 of swords in its upright in combination with the 8 of swords in its reversal, in combination with the 6 of wands in its reversal. So what are we effectively seeing that is arriving right now for Aries? These are very Aries cards. I just want to point this out. This is some this is very similar to what I was seeing. And this often happens with those with Aries placements, which is the observation of having to identify and recognize that your effectiveness doesn't hurt anyone. And what do I mean by your effectiveness doesn't hurt anyone? Your ability to effectively do something in an effective fashion is an absolute gift. It allows for things to effectively get done. And when you're working into the thing about it, and this happens to Aries all the time, there you'll have an Aries just being as effective as possible. And there you'll see people who are deep in their feelings about it, right? And the thing about it is when you are being effective, right? When you are being effective and others are in their feelings about your effectiveness, that there's a word for that. And it's unprofessional, right? So I feel like it's hard because I feel like for a lot of the Aries energy right now, having to work through situations and circumstances that feel energetically unreasonable, right? And this is what happens with Aries. Like this happens all the time, right? Being like, what happened to that? Like, what happened to that situation? Being like, I was too effective. Like I was too effective for them, right? Because it's Aries being able to observe and recognize where the nonsense is coming from. It's like it's seeing what's effectively disruptive and trying to effectively work through it. So the one thing I'll say for Aries that may be navigating this is, the best thing I can describe that I'm potentially seeing there is you need to be in an environment that you can thrive in. So your ability to have compassion for yourself is requiring, like the word I keep on seeing is boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. And when I mean boundaries, the observation or the understanding of having to navigate um, other individuals, potentially as it relates to other individuals that don't have the direction sense that you do. Um, the observation of simply saying to another, "What would you have me do?" Right? What would you have me do? That gives and provides the context of others building into full clarity, right? Because the full clarity that one is able to identify and recognize is further supported and amplified, specifically and particularly through you having, like it says, you having to be, bottom of the deck, you having to be energetically patient, right? You having to be energetically patient um, through, like you having to be energetically patient, um, like through another person's hindrance is what I keep on getting. And the hindrance that you're able to identify there, the one thing I want to kind of point out is when you're working into that, others see it too, right? Like that's the thing I keep on getting. The sometimes and I gotta tell you, this is often why, like this is often the sound of Aries becoming other people's champion, because it's the observation of, and I want to point this out when and it's feeling very much like a Leo reading to a certain extent, because when you're trying to do something that you recognize is energetically beneficial, right? When you understand and recognize that you're trying to do something that is energetically beneficial, and another individual tries to observe that you're doing it for self-serving reasons, they're telling on themselves, right? Like they're telling on themselves because you've just navigated and understood, right? You just navigated and understood the shape and nature by which another person perceives things, right? Let it be. Don't be bothered by it. Take it as relevant information. Thank you so much to my Aries. Next sign we are reading for today are our Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. What do we have coming through right now? Oh, we got a sun card. I'm already stuck to already stuck in the sun card's already out there. Let's draw the other two. What do we have here? Mm-hmm. Two more. Yep. We've got the 10 of Wands in its reversal in combination with the Queen of Pentacles in its reversal. And what do we effectively see? Oh my gosh. It feels like, I got to point out, this feels a lot like Taurus energy trying to come into the conversation of being very like, the thing is, here's the thing you have to understand with Taurus, which is when individuals try to identify and recognize that they have an energetic problem with another, and Taurus are like, this is like a Taurus, like I don't even know how Taurus do this so well, which is like the word I keep on seeing is, that's interesting because I've never seen that side of them. Right? That's what I keep on getting. Like the thing about it, and I want to point this out, okay? Like, and here's the thing about it, right? Because Taurus understand, right? The thing about Taurus is Taurus understand that when others, right, when others are in the context of recognizing and identifying what it means, right? And here's the thing you have to understand. There are situations, like you have to understand, Taurus are very good at understanding the nature of others' dispositions, right? You'll see, like the best Taurus is always working into the context of understanding another's disposition. So it's interesting, right? It's always an interesting moment when there's a Taurus, right? There's a Taurus that literally understands perfectly another's disposition, and they hear somebody bringing something towards them that feels completely out of context to another person. And why do you effectively see that? Because that is often, right? That is often the sound of a Taurus looking at someone, right? And going, that's interesting. I've never known them to be that way. Right? And you want to see, if you want to see a Taurus get out of, become a Scorpio. Okay? Because it's the observation, right? Because you have to understand, right? There's that Taurus being quiet, right? Knowing everyone's disposition. And in the moment, right? The aha moment that often arrives to a Taurus is when another person comes towards them and goes, "Can you believe?" Right? Can you believe? And when they start with, "Can you believe?" Right? Taurus will often look at something and go, "No, that's interesting." Right? "No, that's interesting." Right? And why do they say, "No, that's interesting"? Because they understand the quality and condition by which they're recognizing that they're not seeing the full breadth of a story. Right? Right? Because it's like, it's understanding the like someone being like, what part are you energetically leaving out? So I feel like there's something very interesting there, because for Taurus, it feels like, yeah, like it's working through the context of trying to identify and recognize, like not feeling like another person is being fully open upon something. Specifically, there you go, with that eight of, like the eight of swords in its reversal, right? Especially because Taurus, right? Disposition experts, understanding the quality and condition that when you know another's disposition and someone articulates something that feels out of context to it, right? Allowing that to be the understanding that you don't feel like you have full all the information. So allow the questions to effectively guide you in through, it says, through another person's, right? Through another person's, like missing pieces. Thank you so much to our Taurus. Next sign that we're reading for today are our Gemini. Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. 3 cards, please. What do we have coming through for Gemini right now? We've got here the Knight of Swords in its upright, the World card in its upright, and we have the Two of Cups in its reversal. So what are we effectively identifying there? For my Gemini, the thing I'm seeing here, is, how do I describe this? You know, it's funny because what I'm basically identifying here is, and it feels very similar to the Taurus read that I just gave, like I just received, because the thing I'm seeing basically is, the thing you have to understand when it comes to Gemini energy is working into the realm of recognizing and identifying what feels energetically adaptable. And here's the thing about it, Gemini, you know that you are the most adaptable, right? Like, there's no, and the thing about it is, when Geminis recognize, like, the gift of adaptability that you bring to everything, when another person tries to articulate and say that you're being stubborn, right? It's saying it's very similar to saying stubborn energy tells on itself, because you can't look at the most adaptable energy, right? I know it's like when you know yourself to be like adaptable, and another person tries to articulate that you're being stubborn, right? Then it's like stubborn energy that tells on themselves, like it's like the stubborn energy. It's the stubborn energy basically telling on themselves specifically and particularly, because it's the observation of understanding that when another person, like when another person isn't being flexible, right? When another person isn't being flexible and you're being as flexible as possible, right? Um, it can often like it can often create the space by which you understand, right? You understand and recognize the quality and nature of having to effectively identify what, like, and I want you, I feel like the best thing to kind of say there is like having to articulate to another person as to what their manifestation goal is. Because the thing about it is, like, I literally, like, I want to point out, like, I see some kind of situation or circumstance where um when you have to understand that when we're doing everything possible, right? When we're doing everything possible to identify the possibilities, right? If another person identifies the fact that I want to point this out, when another person identifies the fact that they're looking for possibilities, and then you arrive with opportunity, and another person says, oh, not that, right? Then you're understanding and you're recognizing the shape of another's limitation, right? Bottom of the deck. Because the thing that we potentially see there, right, expressed with the 10 of wands and its reversal, is working, like, the best thing that you can do is articulate upon bringing transparency or efficacy to things. So make sure, like, don't get frustrated, just get more transparent. Because and I know that, I mean, like, the thing about that, I know how frustrating it is when you're navigating that. Because when another person, right, like when another person is upset when you're literally doing nothing but the thing that they asked you for, right, then that in itself can be like, that in itself can be a moment of profound healing, because you can effectively observe and identify what, like, the shape and nature of what needs to change, right? So allow, again, it feels very similar to what I was seeing. It's like a combination of what I was seeing for both Aries and Taurus, which is basically um, understanding, right? And I like to point this out, right? Understanding the quality and condition of moving through things in terms of identifying, right, like the difference between something moving. I keep on hearing, like, the difference between, like, build in a process is what I'm basically seeing, right? Focus on the process is the answer, right? Don't get frustrated. Focus on identifying the process. Thank you so much for having that reading with me, Gemini. Next sign we're reading into right now are our Cancers. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising. What do we have coming through right now? Ooh, I love this. I feel like this was similar to what we were reading for you last time we did this, because we had a lot of this moon card. There's certain signs when I pull the moon card, it's actually very healthy, specifically and particularly for those who, like for those, for Scorpios and Cancers, we've got the Moon card in its reversal, in combination with our Justice card in its upright, in combination with our Emperor. And the thing about this, and I'm seeing right now, particularly for those, how do I work through this? So working into the context of having clarity, um, is bringing, like, everything that's healthy is honest, right? And when we say everything healthy is honest, which is like the ability of understanding that your honesty is your shield. And the thing about it is, and here's the, I never understand, like the thing about it is, you can't, you have to understand, you can't like, it's, I don't understand, you can't, there are some signs that you cannot energetically embarrass. And the thing about it is, and I like to point this out, when you are working through, and like, this is the thing that others don't understand with Cancer energy, right? That when Cancer energy, even like, like, here's the thing about it, like, the quality in nature, like, by which, like, you'll see this, like, the quality in nature by which a Cancerian energy will literally see somebody that has a bad story about them and be like, yeah, right? Like that's the thing about it, because Cancers, you work to understand the self, right? Like that's the thing, like that's the thing about it. Like, it's not the quality and condition by which, like, that's what's so wild about it to Cancer energy. Like, Cancer energy is the first one to embrace, right? You're the first one that will embrace your less than best moment, right? Like, and that the thing about it is, when all, and this happens, like, I've seen, like, and here's the thing about it, right? When Cancerian energy comes into the context of someone, right, bringing their less than best moment to them, and then Cancer sits there and embraces, right? Like, embraces, right? You better run. You better run. Right? Like, you better, like, that's something, I don't know what else to say. Like, what have you, like, I don't know what, like, what were you trying, like, I don't understand, like, you know? Because, like, that's all I can say about it. Like, like, the thing is, and this, I've seen this, right? Because you understand in that moment, and here's the thing about it. In that moment, right? In that moment, the Cancer is you understand two things about another person, right? Because in that moment, the Cancer is basically seeing all they energetically need to know about another person, which is understanding, right? The quality and condition by which we don't try to energetically bring things to each other like that, right? Because it's understanding and observing upon how we're effectively working to energetically change it, or what it is we're trying to do in the best way possible. So we see that for a lot of the energy working through experiences like that, it's heavy, it's hard, but it also allows, right? It also allows the context to be able to recognize and identify, like, what is effectively needs to change. So bottom of the deck on this, yeah, especially with the Knight of Swords, right? And here's the thing I need to point out. The thing about it is, and this is the one thing I will say, right? If you're feeling like that, or if you're working through things like that, the best thing that one can do, right, is make sure that you're having a conversation with someone, okay? because the thing I want to say, like the thing I'll point out, particularly with the Knight of Swords in its reversal, is the best the thing that's energetically important is how to, like, and I think that this is really significant for those with Cancer placements. Um, the quality and nature by which the quality and nature by which we effectively navigate through things, and I'll point this out for those with Cancer placements. Sometimes, right? And I want to point this out. Sometimes when you're working through something, others potentially don't don't allow old trauma to inform present circumstances, is the best thing I can say there. Don't allow past trauma to inform present circumstances, specifically because in the quality and nature by which you yourself are working through something, the best thing that I can articulate there is helping, like helping make sure that you're bringing a healthy sense of direction to things, right? And when I say that, like bringing a bringing a healthy sense of direction to things is, and you know this, right? Like, cause, and here's the thing, the reason I'm saying this is because I feel like for the Cancerian energy, it's either one of two different things that are happening right now, right? Either, and because that's especially what I'm seeing with this moon card, either working through circumstances by which, another person may not have meant, right? May not have meant is often being able to identify and recognize, because the one thing about this energy right now is it's very easy to have first feelings about something but then feel energetically resolved once you're able to have a conversation, versus situations by which, and I want to point this out, when another person when another, like, let another person's defensiveness help you. Because if you identify or articulate upon, like, it's working, and the way you'll be able to understand this is how, like, the observation of another asking for directions, right? That's the difference between something that feels like, that is the difference between working through something that may feel energetically stabilizing and supportive in terms of being able to identify and work through something, versus another person, I keep on hearing, versus another person bringing something up for no reason, right? And that's what I keep on getting there, right? The observation of another bringing something up for no reason that allows you to understand what is and is not reasonable. Thank you so much to Cancers. The next sign that we are reading for today are our Leos. Leo, sun, moon, and rising. What do we have coming up for you today? 3 cards, please. 2 and 1. Yep, Devil card in its reversal. Star card in its upright. Hanged Man in its upright. Wow, these are some really intense cards. The thing I want to identify, the thing I'm seeing right now for a lot of Leo energy is having to, I'm going to just say this, okay? If another person desires to misperceive you, then don't stress another person's misperception, right? And when I say don't stress another's misperception is you'll often see, right? You'll often see this, like, it's interesting too, because it feels very similar to what I was reading in terms of Cancerian energy, which is like, we don't stress others' misperceptions because others' misperceptions tell us everything we need to know about how another person sees themselves, right? Because you'll often notice and navigate that. Others' misperceptions tell you much more about another person than they have to do with ourselves. Because when we know ourselves and another person is misperceiving us, then the quality and nature, right? It's not even like, it's almost like it's working into the context of another person having, right? And this is what often happens, right? And this is why Leos are like, that's a lot of time you got there. Okay. Like, that's a lot of time. Oh, did you come up with that misperception all by yourself? How much time did you spend on misperceiving in that way? Like, that's the thing that happens. That's the thing that happens with Leos, right? And navigating another person's misperception, being like, "Oh, did you come up with that misperception all by yourself?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's confusing because it's the observation. Do you know how much time it took for someone to come up with a misperception? You know what I mean? It's it's revealing. And when you understand that, like, some energy does not have any, like, literally the sound of another person having way too much time on their hands is literally working through another person perpetually misperceiving, right? And that's why often, right, like, that's often what happens with Leos and when it comes to others' misperceptions, because when you're doing everything you can in the best way possible and another person wants to spend their time misperceiving, it's like you've basically found the infantile energy, right? Because who has time for that playground? Right? Like, who has time for that playground? Right? Like, leave them, like, let them, like, if another person wants to misperceive, leave them in that playground. Because, right, it's working, like, it's we it's it's like, it must be nice to have that much time to be spending in misperceiving instead of doing, right? And that's what happens. This is often what happens with Leos. Leos are often like, I'm sorry, I don't have any time for your misperception. I'm too busy here doing something. I'm too busy here doing, right? It's just like, and that's Leo, right? That's Leo handling their business, right? It's working through business. So I feel like it's just like, it's not easy. But if you're going through that, just understand, like, the best thing I can say is, like, make sure that you're having compassion for yourself as you're doing so, because the thing about it is, and I need to stress this, when you're working through, and you kind of know this, right? When you're working through, it's a conversation again in terms of understanding what feels like a healthy feeling versus what feels like a miserable feeling, right? And the thing about it is, like, like, your ability to understand profoundly that when another person is working through something, right? When another person is dealing with a lot of deep hurt, sometimes all they have to work with are their misperceptions. But that's because, right? Like, that's building into the context of them trying to amplify their hurt even more. And when we're trying to do something, when we're busy working into the context of trying to make things better, right? It sometimes it's like, I need to point out, like, that's literally someone trying to sling mud, right? As you're building something. So don't let it bother you. Just let it reaffirm the fact that you're not, if you're experiencing that, it's because you don't take part in that. So it's harder when you're doing so, but allow it just to build into your own sense of perseverance. Bottom of the deck. Yeah, like I want to point out, these are like, this is again moon card in its reversal. And the thing about it is, when you're working through situations and circumstances like that, um, you know, I want to kind of point out, like, often the nature of another person, and I want to point this out. Leos are used to others making fun of them because, right? It's like when another person has nothing to do but make fun of the self, right? Like, like that is literally, like, that is all the closure that often a Leo needs to see, because, right, like it understands, like, what is child, like what is unhealed child energy do, right? It's not, it doesn't address things, it tries to energetically ridicule. So I feel like there's something about navigating that, and this is often what happens with Leos. Like, like if another person, if you're working tirelessly, right, and another person is in the space by which they're energetically ridiculing, right, that is often the sound of giving something closure, specifically and particularly because you understand and recognize the state or nature by which another person isn't taking others seriously. Thank you so much, my Leos. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. 3 cards, please. We've got the Page of Cups in its upright, in combination with the 5 of Cups in its reversal, in combination with the Wheel of Fortune in its upright. So what are we seeing right now for our Virgos? I feel like what I'm identifying right now, I want to point out, I feel like there's some kind of, I feel like there's something important that I'm identifying here in relation to trying to find a better system, is what I keep on getting. A better system. And it's interesting because, like, as soon as I started reading for you, I felt like I needed to clear my throat. And the thing about it, you have to understand, is when we're building into better systems, right? That, like, sometimes like, and I want you to understand, build the process of elimination is how we build a better system. Okay? So if you're in the middle of trying to build a better system and the system that you're finding isn't working, congratulations. Right? That's what it's going to feel like. As you that's what it's going to feel like. Right? That's literally like the sound of you perfecting something is observing that something isn't working. Okay? And the quality and nature, right? And I want you to understand, I don't want you to be devastated if something's not working. I want you to be elated by it. Okay? I know. You probably hate me saying that. Okay? No, you're probably like, no. This is why Virgos and Leos have problems sometimes. I know, okay? It's not about whether you like to hear it or not. I'm just going to tell you. I'm just going to tell you. Because, right? It allows you, right? That's the sound. That's the sound of you moving towards what does, right? Right? It's frustration, it's frustration, it's frustration, it's frustration. And then blessing. Okay? It's like, and often that requires, right? Often that requires a lot of work, in terms like, and I want to point out, often that feels like we're doing work that isn't going anywhere, right? But it is. right? Because there you are. If you're in the process of trying to figure out a better system, and you're having, right, you're having difficulty, then everything that you're experiencing that isn't working is leading you to what will, right? And I know that's painful. I know it's hard. I know it's frustrating, because the important thing about that is you cannot be hard on yourself if you're doing that, right? You have to it's not allowing yourself, don't over internalize it. Allow it to fortify, right? Like, allow it to just fortify. Allow it to inform, right? Because the important thing you see with the word fortify, right, is it's the information, right? It's the information that helps you get stronger at something. So if you're experiencing something that's not working, right? Then even in the quality and condition by which you're recognizing that it's not working, the benefit is finding information upon it. So allow that information to fortify you as you continue to work towards something, right? Bottom of the deck. Yeah, especially with that devil card. And especially with this devil card in its reversal, because, and you'll often see this, right? Um, you know, don't, don't let other, like, the thing about it is, don't let others, right? Don't let others' hopelessness affect you, right? Because the thing about it is, um, the word is hope. And when we're working through hope, then we understand and recognize that hope, right? Hope is not fragile, right? Hope, hope's got hands. Hope's got hands. And when we say hope's got hands, which is being like, when we've got hope, like, sometimes we got to be like, sometimes we got to, like, put that hope to things, right? Because we're protecting our hope. And so your ability of understanding, and I like to point this out, like hope is not fragile. Hope's got hands, which means, like, when we're working towards hope, right? Then often, right? Like hope is nothing without, you can't just hope unless you're putting, you can't say you're hoping on something unless you're putting work towards it. Okay. Thank you so much to my Virgos. Next sign that we are reading for today are our Libras. Libra, sun, moon, and rising. What do we got here? 3 cards, please. 3 cards. One more, please. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm. Yeah, the thing I'm identifying here, um, oh, Libra. Okay, what do I, like, the thing you have to understand, okay, let's work through this. You know, the thing you have to understand is the the thing we have to recognize that often happens when Libras are like when Libras like when Libras are involved in things is, like, the best thing I can describe is, it's always interesting because there's like Libras have this uncanny ability of being able to remember how I said, temperature checking. We've talked about this before with Libras. which is working into a temperature check, is often being able to find the quality and condition that allows one to do something as perfectly as one is able to do it, right? And the thing about it, the thing that you'll often see when it comes to Libra energy is having to, like, working into the context of asking, having a lot of questions about things. And you have to understand this because um, Libras look at the world, right, with a desire to understand. And so when we have questions about things, we ask questions because we are deeply interested in what is energetically occurring. And what happens often, right, is there are those who misperceive, right? There are those who misperceive a Libra questioning, at like questions as questioning. And the observation of understanding that never has a Libra been more interested in something than if they're asking questions about it. Because if you're interested in something, why wouldn't you have questions? So I feel like everything I'm seeing here is a continuation of what often happens with those with Libra placements, which is understanding your questions are your shield, right? Because, and here's the thing about it, when you've got, right, when you've got healthy questions that you bring towards things, and another person says, I'm so glad that you asked that, right? Like the answer, right? Like, there you go. Like, then a Libra, like a Libra is like, yes, right? Because it's the observation of being able to understand something, right? That's the only sound you should hear, right? I'm so glad that you asked that, right? Because it's the understanding of another person, like you found expertise, right? Like there's expertise. That's what expert energy says when they receive a valuable question, right? You'll like, and this is like an expert's eyes light up. They go, that's a great that's a great question. Like I'm very eager to answer that. But the sound of another person, and here's the thing about it, not knowing their salt, like right? Like someone not knowing their salt will be like enough with the questions, being like, oh, okay. And then the Libra's like, oh, I found someone that doesn't know their salt, right? Because it's the understanding and the capacity of recognizing and building into deep conversation. So I feel like there's something important about that because I feel like this is often, right? This is often the sound of Libra finding, right? This is often the sound of Libra finding their own expertise. But the thing about often that happens with Libra finding one's expertise is is arriving to situations where others like, and here's the thing about it, like others are dumbfounded by your questions, right? And the key word, bottom of the deck, dumb founded, right? Which is like the quality and nature by which if you don't know, right? And this thing about it, if you don't know the answer to a question, all you need to do is be energetically honest. Be like, I need to explore that more, right? You know what I mean? Like that's all you have to do. But when another person takes a question personally, right? When another person takes a question personally, right? This is why we call it dumbfounded, because it's the understanding that it's not our responsibility to know everything, right? It's not our responsibility to know everything. We can't know everything. but the excitement in finding a question, and this is what's amazing, the excitement of finding a question, right, in that way should be embraced with a sense of delight, right? A sense of delight because questions are beautiful. So I feel like there's something important there about like Libra's recognizing, right, delightful questions. Your questions are delightful. Continuing right now, the next sign that we're reading for is our Scorpio. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. What do we have for you right now? We've got the 10 of Wands in its reversal in combination with our 2 of Cups in its reversal in combination with the World card in its upright. So what are we identifying here? um, let's see. So the thing about it, the thing about it, you know, and here's the thing, like the thing that I often see that happens, um, particularly in relation to Scorpios, is understanding the quality and condition by which others, like others and energetically, like I feel like this is a conversation Scorpio is trying to have with someone as it relates to the significance of invitations, right? Because you have to understand, and there's something very important that when we're working into, right? When we're working into the import of an invitation, it's the observation and the understanding of not only, right, not only working through things, but identifying and recognizing how we ourselves go about things. So I feel like there's something there that's very significant. And the significance that I'm seeing there has a lot to do with understanding the quality and nature by which we help others, right? We help others understand how we feel about it. And I want you to understand, I feel like that's hard because I want you to understand, like the thing about it with Scorpios is you understand, right? Like you deeply understand the nature of, like you deeply understand the difference between others missing opportunities that are under, like missing opportunities that are under their nose, like that are under their noses, right? And that's what I keep on getting with it. The opportunities that are under our noses are often missing, right? It's like another person missing another person's cue, right? Because it's the observation of another person potentially trying to identify and articulate, right? Like understanding the value of nuance is understanding the value of nuance for every Scorpio in existence is a blessing and a curse, right? Because not only are you able to read into others' nuance, but you can also see moments where others miss it, right? Like others miss it completely. Right? And there's like Scorpio often like going through those moments because, and that's the worst part about it, right? You can't, like, you can't protect, like, the thing is, and I just want to, I want you to understand this, okay? Your ability to help another person, right? Your ability to help another person understand the energetic landscape, right? The observation and the value and the significance of understanding a landscape is working into the context and observation of helping another person, like, identify the full shape or the full breadth of what is, like how others perceive things. And so I feel like there's something really important about that, because it's interesting too, because the one thing I'm identifying there, right, is when we're working into, right, when we're working into or through things in that way, right, the only sound that you should hear is thank you, right? Because when another person, right, like the best Scorpio, like the best Scorpio in your life is trying to help you understand the landscape better, right? And the thing about it is, there's nothing more ridiculous, right? There's nothing more ridiculous than to say to a Scorpio, right? Oh, like, this is how things are done, because that Scorpio is like the observation of understanding, like the landscape, the full landscape of things. Scorpios understand the landscape better than anyone, right? Like, it is the quality and nature by which Scorpios are, like, helping another person try to see something. But you can't protect others, right? You can't protect others if they refuse to take their blinders off, right? You can't protect others if they're like, from like, because when another person, right, if another person is insisting on seeing something and you're trying to give them the landscape of something, that's not your failure point, that's theirs. Thank you so much to my Scorpios. The next sign that we're reading for today are our Sagittarians. Sagittarian, sun, moon, and rising. What do we have coming through right now? One, two, three. We've got the Four of Pentacles in its reversal. We've got the Seven of Wands in its reversal. And we've got the Empress card in its reversal. So what are we navigating or observing in relation to this energy? The um I have to stress that the thing I need to point out with Sagittarian energy is Sagittarian energy is very good. You're very good at seeing um, where another person is carrying stress, right? Like, this is the thing with Sagittarian energy, and the thing about it is, like, Sagittarian energy, you deeply understand the quality and nature of working through circumstances and situations that feel, right? Circumstances and situations that feel like they are healing versus they effectively, like, I keep on getting healing or revealing, right? Because the observation and the understanding of the quality and condition by which others, right, by which others choose. It's very similar to what I was basically seeing. The quality and condition by which others choose to misperceive things tells you everything you need to know upon what they were energetically expecting, right? Because when we are working in a healthy way, we are constantly defying expectations, right? And the quality and nature by which we are defying expectations often creates the space by which others are bothered, right? It's like the quality and nature by which others are bothered, right? And they come to us, right? And they come to us with their frustrations. And when another comes to us with their frustration, right? Sagittarians are very quick to be able to discern and say, are you upset for a logical reason, or are you upset because something isn't going as you, is someone not going as you expected them to, right? Because that quality and nature of navigating, right, that expectations, right, expectations arrive, expectations arrive at our doorstep constantly, but the quality and nature by which others try to articulate that one is energetically frustrated, specifically because, right, because another is energetically defying their own expectations on something, can often articulate exactly what the source of a problem is, right? Because, bottom of the deck on this, that's not healthy, is it? Right? The quality and nature by which another tries to come towards us and say, right, that isn't, right, that isn't what I would like for them, is the difference between what we like for each other and what is best for each other are very different things, right? What we would like for each other and what is best for each other are very different things. And Sagittarians are very much in the business of protecting each other's best, which is to say, right, the shape of the shape in nature by which another is upset because another another has energetic feelings about things, or the quality and nature by which we effectively articulate, right, like often that often that in itself helps the Sagittarian to see the full breadth of what another person is healing from. Because when we care, I just keep on hearing the same message for Sagittarians, which basically says, when we care about each other, right, we want what's best for each other, right? We don't get upset because another isn't doing what we expected them to, right? Because when another person says that wasn't what I was expecting, another person goes, yeah, because we don't exist to appeal to your expectations. And often the shape and nature of those that need to heal, right? The sound of another person having a boundary issue is often found in the quality and nature by which another person tries to articulate the frustration in the fact by which they are identifying that another individual isn't doing what they expected. Why were you expecting in the first place? There it is, right? Like, there it is. Why were you expecting it all? It's that, like, there, that's not healthy. That's distressing. So that's a lot of the energy that's potentially identifying the source of the energetic distress. Continuing right now, the next sign that we're reading for is, we've got our Capricorn. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. 3 cards, please. We've got the High Priestess in its reversal. We've got the Seven of Cups in its reversal, and we have the Ace of Swords in its upright. So what are we identifying with those cards? Um, so the thing I'm identifying that I'm seeing, wow, this is wild. Yep. Mm-hmm. Wow, these cards right now are so Capricorn. And the reason I'm saying that these cards are so Capricorn is you have to understand, I got to point this out. It's very similar to what I was seeing with the Taurus cards. Okay? And I got to point this out. There is a common thread. Okay? There's a common thread. There's a common thread between Taurus and Capricorns, okay? And the common thread that you'll often see between a Taurus and Capricorn has to do with another, right? It's the same thing, right? Because the thing about it is Capricorns, well, while Taurus are experts in knowing each other's, in knowing the disposition of those around them, Capricorns, Capricorns know. Capricorns, when I say Capricorn knows another person, then they understand, right? Capricorns understand the full shape and nature of another's no, right? Because it is the quality and the understanding by which we effectively identify and work through that often reinforces exactly what we're navigating. And the thing about it is you will often, and you'll notice this, right? when Capricorns when Capricorns recognize they were wrong about something, it becomes a song. Okay? And the reason it becomes a song is because a Capricorn will then become an expert at that. Okay? like when, you've just, okay? The minute, the minute, the minute, like the absolute minute that another person, right? Like the minute that another person tries to articulate that the Capricorn has done something wrong, prepare for an expert, right? Because it's the understanding, right? It's the understanding of working into energetic perfection. And it's the same thing that we effectively saw as it relates to, like, and I point this out, like as it relates to energetically checking upon facts. And so you have to understand that what basically happens, right, is that when Capricorns, like there's a Capricorn, like always with the receipts. Okay, like always with the receipts. Like there's a Capricorn who literally has all the receipts, right? All the receipts. And another person tries to energetically question something, right? You will see that Capricorn pull out a receipt on something so quickly, like so quickly, being like, oh, you mean this? Oh no, I have this. You like immediately, right? Because you have to understand, right? You have to understand that what what makes Capricorns ferocious? When another person, right? When another person starts getting wiggly on facts, right? And you'll often see this because Capricorns have no patience, absolutely no patience for someone who's energetically wiggly on facts. Because the minute, right, the minute that a Capricorn sees someone wiggly on facts, right, then that is often That is literally, right? Like that is the sound of a Capricorn, because you understand that is that when another person is wiggly on the facts that they give the Capricorn says bottom of the deck, right? That's their credibility, right? That's their credibility that you're energetically messing with, right? So that is why we see, right? That's why you'll often see, right? You start to try, you get wiggly with the facts. You get wiggly with the facts for a Capricorn, and Capricorn will break out that Rolodex, right? Capricorn will break out that Rolodex, be really quick to try to articulate and exactly identify the source of an energetic problem, right? Because that observation of understanding, right? Like you'll find out real quickly. And a lot of that work we see, and this is the thing about it too, not only do Capricorns do that for themselves, but are very energetically protective of others, right? Very protective of others that try to come towards them without facts that are straight, right? Like facts, like Capricorn become a Capricorn becomes a chiropractor. Like, oh, we gotta straighten some facts here. Okay, that's fine. Let's get to it. You want to see you want to see a Capricorn become a chiropractor? You want to see them straighten up those facts real quick? And here's the thing about it. They'll do it not even for themselves, they'll do it for others' benefit too, right? Absolutely. Final oh my lord, final card for our final reading for today. We are reading into, oh, we got two more, so we're going into Aquarius next. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. 3 cards, please. Knight of Wands in its reversal, King of Wands in its upright, 3 of Swords in its upright. I feel like there's something very important happening for Aquarius right now as it relates to inner child healing. And the thing you have to recognize, and this is the thing that Aquarians understand, is that the thing about inner child healing that can be really complicated is that when we try to protect others from our childhood, then we become the source of trauma, right? And I feel like there's something really important there that I feel like Aquarians are working through, either having a conversation with another or being able to identify or express upon what feels like it is energetically important. Because you have to recognize that the quality and nature, right? The quality and nature by which we work through inner child healing is the quality and nature by which we become, right? When we're doing it properly, we become the solution to our past experience, right? Like when we're doing that properly, we are energetically embodying that journey, right? We're recognizing and identifying what we are actively embodying. And when we're embodying, right, when we embody our inner child healing, then we become the energy that protects us, that would have protected us in the first place from things. But the quality and nature by which we ourselves are working through fear, right, is often that fear that we experience often reflects back to us because it's the expression, right? It's the observation of working through the energetic anxiety that often creates the context of energetically replicating what we experienced in the first place, right? So again, like that work that we do requires, like it requires a deep investment into the self. And you see a lot of Aquarians working through that, right? Becoming, right? The work that we do to inner child heal is articulated through becoming the embodiment, right? Becoming the energetic embodiment that would allow the context of something being energetically healed towards, like, and that's often, like, that's us finding our higher purpose, because that higher purpose that we articulate upon allows us to energetically arrive in the shape of our healing. But what often happens in experiences when others aren't doing that work, right? Then often, like often it's like when another isn't energetically invested in doing that work, then what often happens is it allows the anxiety, right? It allows the anxiety of energetically standing on the sidelines, as it were. And the quality in nature, like I keep on seeing, the quality in nature by which we stand on the sidelines um, is often navigated by, and bottom of the deck, yeah, the anxiety of, right, and this is what happens, right, and this is why you often see that Aquarian energy works into the context of being able to identify or articulate upon finding bravery, right? Because when we're finding bravery, like the feeling of navigating through bravery is overcoming our fears, and often it requires us to effectively navigate through something in a way by which we effectively articulate, right? We articulate upon the observation of not worrying about others' fears, right? And you'll often see this with Aquarian energy. Aquarian energy, like literally, right? Like literally seeing the sound of um, the sound of deep problems occurring. Our energy is going, well, I don't want to create a fuss, right? Because your ability to create a fuss, right? That ability to create a fuss is what allows us to be able to articulate upon what needs to change. So I feel like for a lot of the energy, right, like this is having conversations to another about the import, like it's saying to me, like conversations upon what it means to be energetically brave. And when we're energetically brave, then it allows us the ability to articulate upon something in a way that allows us to do something that we've never done before. So I feel like it's interesting because I wouldn't be surprised right now if there are experiences by which you're feeling energetically frustrated, but the frustration that you're potentially arriving to is stabilized or articulated upon working through or navigating the observation of others' complacency. So if you're navigating that, just remember that if you're speaking up about something, you're not the complacent one. Thank you so much, Aquarians. Final reading for today is going to be our Pisces. Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. 3 cards, please. We've got the Knight of Swords in its upright, the Justice card in its upright, and the Emperor card in its upright. Wow, those are some intense cards for Pisces right now. Um, let's get into it. Because I got to tell you, there's something about this energy right now. There's something about this energy that I feel is really, I want to describe it as reaffirming and learning, right? Reaffirming and learning. And what do I mean by uh, reaffirming and learning? When we are reaffirming and learning, then we are basically identifying and articulating upon the observation of working through things right? Like reaffirming, I just keep on hearing reaffirming and learning, because reaffirming and learning is understanding that when we are working towards mutual effort, right? It's not about going with the flow, right? And this is what often happens with those with Piscean placements, because Piscean, like, you understand, right? You understand that there is no flow state to be found with going with the flow, right? Because the observation of having to effectively articulate upon something that needs to change is often arriving to one's own force of effort. So if you're like, I feel like it's interesting, because I think for a lot of Pisces right now, there could be something by which you feel like you're energetically overcoming something. But even in the context by which you're potentially feeling like you're energetically overcoming it, right? It's like it's requiring you, right? It's requiring you to have to be like energetically vigilant. And the thing about it is, um, you know, often the thing we often navigate when it comes to understanding and recognizing that there are some things, right? There are some things that are important. And when they're energetically important, then the quality and nature by which we're able to articulate to another why they are important, right? Like that's you defining an energetic standard. And I feel like there's something very interesting there, because I feel like there's a conversation that I'm seeing that Piscean energy is having as it relates to the nature of entitlement, right? And the thing about it is, I'm going to kind of just get into this, right? The thing that's energetically frustrating when you're trying to bring import into an entitled environment is energy that tries to deny something exists because they've never experienced it. Exactly. Right? Like, it's like so close, right? Literally, the nature by which another person tries to say, oh, well, that's never happened to me. And then you just sit there and go, yes, you're the case in point. Like, you're the case in point. Like, you're the case in point. Like, it can be, it's so frustrating, right? Because it's like in the space of another's deniability, even there, they're energetically affirming, right? They're affirming the situation or circumstance. So I know how exhausting, right? I know how exhausting it can be when you're navigating through situations of that nature. So helping, right? Don't get don't get frustrated. Just go, where did I lose you? Like, where did I lose you? Retrace your steps. Let's try this again. Okay, so it's like often the quality and nature by which you help another person, right? The quality and nature by which you help another person through, right, through their own work, right, is often like the amplification that we often see there requires us to have to basically articulate to another, right? Like, let it, don't get don't get frustrated, right? Just get reaffirmed, right? Because your ability to articulate to another, right? Your ability to articulate to another that, because, right, even if another person hasn't experienced something, right? That if another person hasn't experienced something, that is because, right? If another person hasn't experienced something, that is because they're living within the midst of it, right? It's helping another person see and recognize that it's very hard, because it's often requiring one to have to amplify or articulate that if another person says, well, that's never happened, be like, you have to say, like, allow that exacting, right? Allow that exacting to help another person arrive to the fact that there's something that they might not necessarily be seeing, right? Like, don't get frustrated. Help them refocus even more. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and receiving it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. So I would encourage you to do it there. A couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who participated in our recent tarot class. Our next tarot class is tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. PST, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We are going to be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the 3 cards of the minor arcana. If you would like to become a part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is head on over to my profile, or head over to my stack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my stack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a paid monthly subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive. And it's not necessary to catch up. I'll be doing my best to give you an update on everything we've studied prior to beginning that next class, but the material is there for you to receive as you're ready to receive it. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything we've learned and studied thus far. And if you become a founding member, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of readings, you'll also have access to you'll also have access to over 20 hours of those readings, as well as the opportunity of receiving a one-on-one assessment by me, where I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage moving towards your tarot goals going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid member to my stack or to the classes, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings and services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule and my mystic meditation articles, which give you updates on everything we've been seeing energetically in the cards based on the lunar cycles. I just wrote one recently on this new moon energy that we're currently navigating. Finally, I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly, as your schedule permits. Also, for my students that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute reads, again, weekly or bi-weekly, as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey, as well as my dream interpretation readings, which you can purchase per dream or as a series. If you purchase a series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow. That is our daily collective read. We are going to get started on personal readings. Congratulations To Avatar, you got the highest gifter today, so you will be getting a free reading. And if anybody else wants to get on the list for today, it's a great time to get on the list. You will be the second person read for today. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. And for those who are joining us over on the place where we keep the videos, you can also get on our list today via my tree that has Binks in it in my bio. You're so welcome, Ivana. Good to see you today, dear. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And Per, thank you for getting on the list. You will be read for after Avatar. If anybody else would like to get on the list right now, you will be the third person read for. Mm-hmm. Thank you as well. Luke, yes, how you doing today? Oh, are you kidding? Oh, that's wild. I mean, if you want to do a dream interpretation, you know what's up. Literally me. Thank you for being here. Guys, make sure to give Lucas some love. Readers supporting readers. And Jess, thank you for getting on the list today as well. If anybody else would like to get on the list right now, you will be the fourth person read for. Great time to get on the list. List is nice and short. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, the thing about it is, I need to point out, like, with Capricorns especially, right? Capricorns, like, mm-mm. Oh, I get it. Absolutely. Oh, with those two in combination, absolutely, dear. Avatar, thank you for being here. How you doing today, Dr. Genuine? Excellent. Sending you support, Minnie. Oh, we did. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. That was an incredible dream. That was so beautiful. I still recall that dream, Lucas. It was beautiful. Absolutely. Excellent. And just a reminder, if anybody's on the hold list and would like to be added back to the list, I just need to know the date that you're added to the hold list. I'll be happy to add you back as well. I'm doing good today, Tattoo. How are you doing? Excellent. Hi there, Matt. How are you doing today? Excellent. Perfect. Mm-hmm. Perfect. All right, and the next person we're reading for today is Avatar. Avatar, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if you'd like a general reading or if you have a specific question you'd like me to answer. And as I mentioned, if anybody else wants to get on the list right now, you will be the fourth person read for. Before we get started on Avatar's reading, let's warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal oracle cards here. We're going to count back from 10. And when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the wolf. We'll be doing that again after the next reading. Oh, I love it. I've got you here, Avatar. We're doing a life path reading right now for Avatar. Guys, make sure to give Avatar some love. And can I get 3 cards, please? And actually 4 cards. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the thing I'm identifying in relation to in relation to your life path, feels the thing I keep on seeing is I feel like a lot of the work that I see that you're doing right now based upon your life path has to do with having to carve that path. And the hard part about it is I almost feel like there was something, this feels like something that another person was energetically preparing you for, right? Like there's something around you by which, like, and I want to kind of point this out, like the quality and nature by which another person tries to articulate that they like something that they wanted you to continue, like in their own way. You know, the thing I'm seeing that's hard about that is, you know, and I feel like I see something here that's really difficult because I see you trying to navigate and expand upon something, and another individual like saying, oh, not like that, you know. And the thing about this, like the thing I gotta stress is um there's something to be said, right? There's something really important to be said when we're doing something, when we're doing something in a way that allows that when we're doing something in a way that um, allows something to be done, it often, you know, the hard part about that is it says to me that a lot of that work is difficult because it's almost like it's required you to have to go through these experiences where you're energetically proving, right? You're trying to prove something, but you can't prove something, right? Like the thing about it is when you feel like you have to prove something to another, right? And another person tries to say, oh, I always knew you had it in you, right? Like that is often recognizing the shape and force of trauma, right? Because we should not feel like we have to energetically prove something in order to be able to do it, right? It should be the quality and nature by which another person gives us what we need in order to do something effectively. So I feel like there's something there that's really important because the hard thing that I keep on seeing with you right now is I see you having to navigate or um, going through a maturation process. And the thing that you have to recognize, and it's interesting too, because I feel like you are the mature one, okay? Because the mature one often has to take steps to navigate through another's immaturity. And the thing that you have to recognize when it comes to navigating through circumstances and situations with a sense of maturity is having to help another, right? Having to help another identify the, like, it's giving me like the best thing I can keep on hearing is you having to say to someone, right? Like, oh, let's leave well enough alone is literally the sound of something ending, right? Because when you say to another person, oh, well, let's leave well enough alone, we've always done things like this, right? then it's that quality in nature by which another person isn't recognizing the shape of the change that's energetically occurring around a circumstance or situation, right? Because when another person, like I literally see some kind of situation where you're like trying to save a sinking ship, right? Like you're literally entering some kind of, I feel like this has happened to you on a lot of countless occasions, right? You being in a space of you entering a sinking ship and like bailing out the water, right? You're like sitting there like bailing, right? You're bailing and bailing, and others are potentially wailing. Like you're you're bailing and they're wailing, is what I keep on getting. You're bailing and they're wailing because they're asking for help, and then you're helping and they're going not like that, and being like, this is how it gets helped, right? Like this is how it gets helped. So I feel like I know how exhausting that is, right? Because it's that force of effort, right? It's that force of effort that you often have to articulate to another, right? If you want support, get ready for change, right? If you want support, get ready for change, because like the lack of change is the chain, right? Like the quality and nature of someone saying, oh, let's just keep on doing it this way, right, is literally the sound of someone getting like left behind in time, right? Left behind in time, because what they don't necessarily recognize is the like that, like I keep on saying, you're trying to tell somebody, like I literally see you trying to turn, like I literally see situations by which you're trying to take a, like you're trying to tell someone, if you don't make a change, this is going to become a tomb. Like this is going to become a tomb. like 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 there won't be anything, like there won't be anything left, because I know how upset it is, because you're like literally looking at something and saying the only way you can energetically protect it is if you're willing to change, because if not, right, if not, all you're doing is perfecting a tomb. Right. Like how you doing in there, right? And it's hard, right? Because what's so hard about that is I just keep on seeing, right, like you having to say to another person, like, and I feel like the hard part about this is I feel like this is not the first time that this has happened to you. This is something I see that's potentially happened to you a few different times, where you've had to say to somebody, right, like this is, and I would, and the way you'll know that this is on your life path, okay, the way you know this on your life path is, as soon as you walk away from something, if things fall apart, that's because you were holding it up. You know, I'm just going to tell you, if you walk away from things and things fall apart in your wake, that's because you were doing all the heavy lifting, right? That was because you that was because you were the one doing all of that. So don't let another person, right? Don't let another person like try to like not don't let another person's volatility in terms of identifying, right? And that's the hard part about it, right? Having to work through the quality and nature of understanding that healthy energy, right? Like I got to tell you right now, healthy energy working through something in such a way that it almost says to me, like that observation of understanding it, like I feel like it's almost like I feel like it's hard, because it's like I feel like you often enter situations where another person doesn't realize that it's already mission critical, right? And the fact that even in the space by which you're arriving and things are mission critical, and they're looking at you as if you are energetically disruptive, right? They're it's like literally somebody refusing life support, That's literally someone refusing life support. Ugh, thank you so much for having that reading with me, Avatar. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. If you would like to get on the list is open. It is 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers. Binks in my Lio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah, thank you, Avatar. Thank you for also receiving this message, Ivana. I know. I know it's sad, right? How could it not be sad, right? And what's sad about it is the fact that others, right? What's sad about it is the fact that others don't seem to understand. Like, I literally, it's like, it says to me, like, there you are trying to help others, and another person is refusing. Like, like, never have you been more angelic, you know? I know. You're so welcome, Tigress. That's fascinating. Yeah. You're welcome, dear. Ugh, I'm sending you support, Ivana. I know. Yeah, like here's the thing, like make sure that you're prioritizing care of the self, because it's like what I'm seeing there, like what I was seeing there is absolutely, it's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mhm. All right, let's continue right now. The next person on the list for today is Per. Per, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if you'd like a general reading, or if you have your card's already here. I don't know if you saw, the cards already came out. But if anybody else would like to get on the list right now, you will be the 3rd person read for. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Ooh. And before we continue with Per's reading, let's warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. Hi there, Pink. If you'd like to get a reading, all you need to do all you need to do is send the donation. It is 3 cards for 29 for those who are non-subscribers. Oh, in terms of the tarot classes, Visha, we're going to be studying the 3 cards of the Minor Arcana. All right, let's continue right now. Oh, all right. Mm-hmm. All right, Per, can you are we doing a dream interpretation? And before we continue with Per's reading, let's warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal oracle cards here. We're going to count back from 10, and when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the bear. We'll do that again after the next reading. How you doing today, Forgotten? All right, where were we? Mm-hmm. Let me just pull you up here. And just a reminder, if you have a dream that you would like interpreted, all you need to do All you need to do is let me, you can put it in the notes when you send the donation. You can also post it in our subscriber only disco channel in the appropriate channels. Okay. All right, just bear with me a moment. One moment, please. Mm-hmm. All right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, direct message. Thank you. I was looking for it. Okay, perfect. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. We've got a bunch of dream fragments that we're going to be interpreting on. I will point out before we get started on this read, I want to show you the cards that came out. I still owe you another card, but I feel very called to show you the cards before we start reading. So we've got the Queen of Swords in its reversal, the Strength card in its upright, and the Ten of Cups in its reversal. Okay. Okay. Fragment 1. I'm sitting outside in sunshine on a bench next to an individual in the collective. A little further away, there's my best friend who I've also known in real life. I had about 10 to 15 decants of niche perfumes with me and had placed them on my lap. They were all containing 10 milliliters. I told Minnie that I'd brought all of them for her to try, and they were testing them and allowed to take them home as long as I got them back afterwards. To me, these were very valuable objects. And then I took out nearly an empty bottle from my own bag. What's interesting is that even though this bottle was empty, it was still in its packaging, although it wasn't sealed. I sprayed the perfume, but it didn't smell like anything at all. And in my dream, I actually already knew beforehand that it wouldn't smell like anything. They took the bottle from me and sprayed their entire forearm with it, and they couldn't smell anything either. Second fragment. I was in a huge warehouse that consisted of 2 floors. The walls were made of gray concrete. However, the interior looked exactly like a jungle. There were exotic plants and trees everywhere, and there were cages containing exotic animals that don't exist on Earth. Some of those animals were even roaming around freely. There were other people walking around there as well. Fragment 3. I was sitting with my friend at the home of a former CEO from a previous company I'd worked for. The table light turned on and off twice, which felt like a sign to me. When I continued walking, I saw the owner of the same company and told him that I had seen the former CEO. Let's get to it. And you've got one more card coming through. So the dream fragments are all navigating into the observation and the space of personal transformation. And it's interesting as well because we see that in the dream space, you're identifying and recognizing the difference, right? The different modalities of working through what we identify as energetically important. Okay? So, what is the first thing that we basically see? You identified that you had two individuals in the dream space, okay? One individual, one individual who you had known for a long time, and one that was a new energetic relationship, okay? So we're dealing with the difference between the observation of those who have energetically known us for a long time on our journey versus new energetic relationships. And what are we effectively identifying there? We see that you are laying out 10 to 15 decants of perfume and you place them on your lap. Those are you. Those are you. Okay? Because it's understanding, and it's like how much you've changed over the last 10 to 15 years, right? And that's why you saw that they were decans. And then you identified the fact that they were very niche. So every year, right? Every year, a little bit of change, right? That leads to an entirely different person, right? This is often what happens in the process of our transformation, okay? And that's why you said you brought all of them for them to try, right? Because you have to understand that the quality and condition by which we know ourselves is often the space by which we can help each other, right? We help each other because we've gone through things, right? We go through things so that each other don't have to, right? We save each other. We save each other the energetic effort. So what we're basically observing there is a circumstance or situation wherein you identified and recognized that you stated that that's why you said that you saw that then they were testing them, and you identified that you said they were allowed to take them home as long as you got them all back afterwards, right? Which is working through the fact that you were articulating that they were energetically valuable, right? Now, you said that you took out a nearly empty bottle from your bag. And what's interesting is that even though that one was empty, you said it was still in its packaging, although it wasn't sealed. That's because that's you presently. Right? And you said that you sprayed that and it didn't smell like anything at all. And in the dream, you already knew beforehand that it wouldn't smell like anything. Yeah, because we can't, when we're experiencing in the present, we can't have nostalgia for the present that we're experiencing, right? So you're basically showing that individual in the dream space is the quality and nature by which nostalgia works, which says, like, in the moment that you're experiencing it, you can't feel it. But then when it's past, you become sentimental upon it. You become sent, right? You become sent. You become sentimental, right? So you were showing that to them. And then the fact that they were effectively spraying it and they couldn't smell it either because that's the nature, right? So you're showing them the quality of how we build sentiment, okay? And then we see that you enter, right? You enter a warehouse. And what do you observe in that warehouse? You see that the warehouse right? The cement contains 2 floors, and they were all made of concrete, okay? However, the interior looked exactly like a jungle, okay? You said that there were exotic plants there and trees everywhere, and there were cages containing animals that didn't exist on Earth, and some of those animals were roaming around freely, and there were other people walking around there as well. So that, right, that is that is how that is the context of navigating your own healing journey, right? Because in the context by which you identified, and I want you to understand this, because this is why you identified or articulated upon the fact that you said that you couldn't smell anything there, right? But you're building into energetic awareness, and the awareness that you're potentially seeing, right? This is what it's like when you're building into awareness, right? Because when you're building into awareness, what do others see who don't have awareness? All they see is concrete. They see is concrete. Like what? Like right? Like, it's like, all they see is energetic concrete, right? Because when you're working through that, right, the observation of being able to identify and recognize the quality and nature by which you're energetically flourishing, right, is the ability, right, is the quality and nature by which you see, right, you see the beauty, right, you are seeing the beauty that is all around, right? And the thing about it is, the hard part about it is that when we talk about, right, when we talk about those that aren't healed, right, you have to understand that those who effectively are working into the context of practical, right, then the practicality or the understanding of building into that concrete is what you see when someone is overly sentimental, right? Because when another person is overly sentimental, all they see is concrete, because it's all cement, right? It's all sentiment. So when you're living in the past, then you don't see the beauty of the present, because you're focused too much, right? You're focused too much on the past. So it's a conversation that the guides are showing you about the ability to build into the present, because when you're overly sentimental, then you feel like the best has passed, and you can't see the beauty that is energetically around the self, right? So that is why you saw all of those people and individuals, but then you also saw the concrete, because you're seeing the 2 different doors of perception, with individuals that hold on to the past too closely and can't see anything beautiful because they're constantly comparing the past to the present, versus those, right, versus those who effectively recognize and see the energetic beauty of possibility all around the self. And that brings you to, right now, this is important because you've got the guide showing you things. You've got the energy of an individual, right? That you identify that you and an individual were in a location of someone who you used to work with, right? And you identified the fact that you said that the light on the table kept turning on and off, which felt like a sign to you. Okay. And then you continued walking, and you saw that same individual, right? And you stated that you had seen the former, right, individual. Now, this is interesting because the third part of this dream is the identification point, or recognizing and identifying upon, right, the observation of energetic meaning in terms of what we put our sense of purpose towards. And that's why you saw a light turning on and off, right? Because the light that you saw that was turning on and off, and you identified, felt like a sign to you, was potentially working through, right? Working through the context of individuals from the past that tend to have, right, working through energetic polarity, is working into the context of being able to understand and recognize that the nature by which you knew another person was only in the context of the professional space. And when you understand that, the thing about the professional space is, the working into the professional space is often very nebulous, because when we're working into the professional space, there are parts of ourselves that we turn off there, right? that's why that's why you saw the light turning on and off, because it's understanding that when you're building into things professionally, you leave things, right? You turn things off as you enter into a professional space. So it's understanding the fact that it's always a little bit of a ubiquitous relationship that we have in professional environments, because there is the mutual agreement of the fact that there are parts of ourselves that we energetically turn off, right, in order to effectively facilitate in that professional space. So what you're effectively identifying there is the observation of when you identified, you said when you were walking, you saw, right, that when you identified, that you said that you told the person who was running it now that you'd seen the previous person, right? Like that's the thing about it, right? You there's nothing more. It's hard to build into the quality and condition as to, did you notice how you didn't identify how they were doing, right? Because the quality and nature of working through how we are doing is often built into the context of what it is that we articulate to each other. So that was you, like you saw, like even there, right? Even there in the awareness that you were communicating, right? The limitation to what you could state was only in the space of being able to state the obvious, because, right? Bottom of the deck, right? This is often what happens. This is often what, and I want you to understand, this is often, and so this is what's very interesting about this dream space, because the dream space is showing you how two things can look very similar, right? And what do you notice about the two different similarities that you're potentially observing there? The difference between those that are energetically overly sentimental, that can't see the beauty of the present, right? That can feel very similar. The experience of seeing someone reflective in that way is very similar to another person who's working very hard not to be personal, right? So it's very, it's hard to tell the difference, because, right, the only way, you can identify another person, like the only way you can identify the difference is by getting to know each other. So that's why you identified that. That's why you said that you were stated that you were sitting with your old friend, because, right, the old friend was showing the difference between someone that we've known, right, someone that we've known for a long time, right, in terms of being able to know the shape of another's mind, right? Versus the energetic limitation that we often have in a professional space because, right, it could be robust, but another person is working to curtail their robustness given the environment that you're energetically finding them in. So it's hard. Like it's basically, and I need to point out, right? It's interesting too, given the conversation that we recently had, because it's identifying and working through, right? It's working through the context of you navigating and recognizing, like this is you working through ubiquity, right? This is you working through all of the different versions of ubiquity that you find, right? So you're seeing here in the first one the ubiquity of the present, which means it's hard to understand the quality and nature of something until we've moved away from it, right? You're working through the ubiquity of others that held on to the past too much, because when we hold on to the past too much, we become too ubiquitous because we can't see the beauty of the energetic present because we're longing too much for the past. And you're seeing the ubiquity that often occurs in experiences where another person is trying to energetically curtail, right? They're trying to curtail their own relationship in order to be energetically professional. So it's all the guides are basically showing you all of the different forms that ubiquity can take as it relates to energetic experiences. Thank you so much for having that reading with me, dear. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. If you would like to get on the list is open. You will be the the second person read for today. 3 cards for a donation. I might close the list actually. Hold on a minute. Bear with me a minute. No, I'll keep, okay, yeah, I'll take like maybe 1 or 2 more people on the list today. Absolutely. You're so welcome, dear. All right, the next person we're reading for today, and just a reminder, if you have a dream that you would like interpreted, you can include it in the notes when you send the donation. You can also post it in the subscriber only disco channel in the appropriate channels. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. Yep. I have to make a note on that though. Hold on a minute. Just bear with me. Yep. All right. Thank you so much, dear. All right, let's continue right now. And just reading back on some of the comments that came through as I was reading. You're so welcome, Per. All right, let's continue right now. The next person we're reading for right now is Jess. Jess, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if you'd like a general reading or if you have a specific question you'd like me to answer. Well, Blood, I'll point out sometimes the seeing ourselves embody particular roles in dream space can be very different, because like we typically like to read for the dream, that you might be navigating that, right? Like particularly, especially if that's something that you yourself have had to navigate. I mean, of course, thank you for your service. always, but also the observation of understanding and recognizing that the work that we see in the dream space might be different than the work that we occupy in our current tangible state. So I hope that helps. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Where were we? Hi there, Jess. I got you, dear. And before we continue with Jess's reading, let's warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the Animal Oracle card here. We're going to count back from 10. And when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the boar. We'll do it again after the next reading. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to pin up Jess here. And if anybody else wants to get on the list right now, it's a lovely time to get on the list. You will be the next person read for. And sending you so much support on that healing journey, Blood. I know it's not easy. I hope that something that you're receiving here is helping you on that journey. All right, let's continue. I got you, Jess. We're doing 3 cards right now for Jess. Highest priority. And 2 and 1 more, please. All right. We've got the Judgment card coming through, the Tower card in its reversal, and the 7 of Pentacles in its reversal. I see somebody you know, I'm seeing a situation with someone who's deeply compassionate. But the thing about it is, it feels like somebody who was taken advantage of in a state of deep compassion is what I'm getting. And the thing about it is, oh man, like I see somebody that's working really, really hard to trust again. Because I want to describe that when we give each other the gift of honesty, the only sound that we should hear is thank you. So I see some kind of situation where it's like, it's saying to me, like someone, like a relationship that somebody was in that was impossible to fix, because it almost feels like somebody who asked for another's honesty and then received it and judged them heavily for it. This is like, this can create a really deep trust wound, because I see somebody trying to recognize and identify that there's no quality and condition by which being our authentic self hurts another, but it feels to me like somebody who is healing from a situation where another person would have rather had the fantasy of them rather than the reality. right? And that's the worst part about it. Like it says to me, I don't know if this is, I got to point this out. Um, you know, whatever I'm seeing here, and I want to describe this, like, because I just keep on hearing a situation of someone saying, like, you're not who I expected you to be, and another person saying, why were you expecting in the first place, right? Because it's literally building into the fact that when we care about each other, we don't arrive to each other with expectations, right? Like it says to me, like that's what I mean in terms of another person having to navigate through another individual's fabrication of them instead of accepting the reality of who they were to be. So I don't see that this would be an issue for you. I feel like you've gone through something similar in that way. Because, and I want to point this out, um, there's a big difference between understanding and navigating. Like, there are those who effectively long to be certain ways, and then there are those who understand the harsh reality that understanding the full context of something is very different than bringing longing into relationship. So and this is what I keep on getting. Like I literally see a situation where another individual tried to identify and articulate um how being being in alignment, and then trying to it says to me like somebody trying to identify or articulate that they expected, right? That they weren't really embracing the reality of someone so much as they were assuming and expecting that they would change, right? That they would change with time. And so that's what I keep on getting is so difficult is I see a lot of situations related to this individual where it's hard for them to believe others specifically because they've had experience with someone saying like, oh no, like I'm completely like we want the same things. But then as soon as they're in relationship with them, another person trying to energetically change them or say, well, I didn't think that you'd still want that in the context of us being energetically together. And I feel like this has been a big hurdle for this person. So bottom of the deck on this reading, yeah, if they're taking make sure that it's saying to me like if this is someone that's telling you who they are, like believe them, right? If they're articulating the fact, if they're articulating the fact that they don't want something, don't, there's no question mark on it. Allow their statements, I keep on hearing face the positive with an energy like this is I feel like I see somebody that probably this person is not going to lie, right? But it's more of a question of others being able to navigate the truth that they're articulating in terms of the type of relationship that they're seeking to have. Because I gotta tell you right now, when I see cards like this, right, especially with the King of Pentacles in its reverse, the word I keep on getting is it feels unconventional, right? So if another person is articulating upon the fact that make sure that you and them are having a very clear conversation as to relationship and the type of relationship that they're aspiring to have with you, because like the one thing I'm seeing particularly with this King of Pentacles is identifying and like the best thing you can do with an energy like I'm seeing here is being respective, not just in terms of what they say, not just being respective in terms of what they say that they desire, but also being respective in terms of what they're saying that they don't want, right? Don't, like, the best thing I can see that you, in terms of you being like that is, and I feel like what's interesting about this is I actually feel like even with these cards here, I feel like there's some kind of deep alignment here, but it's making sure that you're both being completely honest with each other, because I know it, like even with these cards, like that this is feeling right, this is feeling positive if you yourself are also looking for someone that is receptive and respective, is what I keep on getting. Thank you so much for having that reading with me, dear. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. If you would like to get on the list is open. It's 3 cards for a donation of $29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of $23 or more for my subscribers. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And thank you, Super, for the follow. Mm-hmm. Excellent. You're so welcome, Jess. Okay, we are going to be moving into 1 card readings for paid members and for super fam. If you are a paid member or a super fam, you can go ahead and put your question in the comments. If you'd like to become a paid member or super fan, you can do so now and you'll be entitled to 1 card. How you doing today, Ben? All right. I got you, creative. I have not seen it yet, Ben. Sending you so much support on that journey, AC. All right, let's get to it. You're so welcome, dear. 1 card for creative. This is saying to me, um, I feel like I'm seeing somebody that's working very hard in terms of navigating and identifying. It says to me like somebody who's trying to find a new form of healthy in relationship is what I'm getting. You know, like I see somebody very deeply invested in not replicating and not replicating an experience that they navigated, but being able to, especially with this animal oracle card, like the water dragon, someone who is trying to build into the context or the observation of healthy feeling. You know, I feel like what's hard about this is I see somebody who may have had turned their feelings off for a very long time, right? And they're finally, like, it's saying to me like I see somebody who's finally, like, they're finally coming into the space by which they're honoring their feelings. And it says like there's a lot I see that they're wrestling with there, is what I keep on identifying. Like there's a lot of emotionality, but I feel like the thing about it is like they're allowing themselves to be emotional more than they ever have before because they're learning that it's safe to do so. Mm-hmm. Lisa, I got you, dear. Um, the 6 of Wands in its reversal. Um, the observation, I mean, the thing I need to identify as it relates to emotions right now is there's a lot of there's a lot of work that we're doing in terms of being able to define upon the emotions, and particularly as it relates to the 6 of Wands in its reversal. this feels like somebody who locked themselves out of your life, you know? And the hard part about it is like when somebody locks them, like when another person locks themselves out of our life, then it's the observation or the understanding that we don't we don't move away from things with the expectation that feelings will change. So I feel like I see somebody who, like, I feel like I see somebody who feels like they misperceived you, right? Or they feel like, I feel like I see somebody who's navigating the fact that they realized that you were right about something that you were trying to tell them. Because, as I keep on getting, especially if the last time you spoke to this person, you were having a hard conversation with them, but it almost says to me like it's them recognizing and acknowledging the fact that you were probably caring more for them than anybody that was around them at that time, is what I keep on getting. Like I feel like I see somebody who's working through a lot of feelings in that way. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I got you, Daniela. One card, high priority, please. Um, I feel like this is an important time for you to be able to recognize and identify what it is that you're working to change, because the state and nature of healthy change is amplified and articulated upon um, the observation of working through things, but in a way that help others understand that you should not be in any relationship where another person is waiting for you to change, but rather they should be honoring your transformation, right? I just keep on hearing, right? The person that's for you is not waiting for you to change in ways that you don't aspire to change. They're honoring what it takes for you to be the person that you are each day. So it says to me like, don't, like, especially, like, I just keep on getting, especially if this is some kind of situation by which another person, like, I don't know, I keep on hearing like healthy relationship does not demand change beyond the ways that we are hoping to change. So make sure if you're working through that, you're honoring yourself on that journey. You're so welcome, Lisa. Mm-hmm. Minnie, one card on the intentions. I feel like they were trying to see if you were available for work. Yeah. Yeah, especially, yeah, the hind energy, right? I don't know. It feels like it feels like somebody, like, it feels like somebody who is trying to assess like what your availability was around something. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Excellent. Final call right now for anyone who is a paid member, um, or a super fan. If you'd like a one card pull today, just go ahead and put your question in the comments. Be happy to draw a card for you. I got you, Per. Mm-hmm. Got two cards coming up right now, Per. I feel like I see somebody right now. I feel like I see somebody right now, like, working, like, it feels like they're working through rock bottom. And I feel like what I'm basically, the hard part about it is I feel like I see somebody like trying to navigate through I keep wondering, somebody trying to navigate through another person's unreasonable demands is what I keep on getting. And just trying to remind themselves, right? Like I see somebody who's working through things because they know that with time this will be in the past. Like they're looking forward to the present becoming the past in terms of, yeah, like especially with this dog energy, like that's the hardest thing about it. Like it almost feels like somebody that's trying to go back with them, but them trying to reaffirm to another person that that observation of working through something, like I just keep on seeing like it feels like like I feel like I see somebody that's navigating um, a deep betrayal. But the deep betrayal I'm basically seeing there is like it's stating like the deep betrayal that I'm seeing that another person is working through has to do, like I keep on getting the same nature, someone who is working tirelessly for another person, right? And they tried to effectively articulate that they were in some way like problematic is what I keep on getting. And so I just keep on seeing the fact that like there's a lot of like I see somebody who's like working through a healing journey there, but it feels like it feels like they recognize that it's coming to a closure point. But I keep on hearing it's like it feels like a very bloody ending is what I keep on getting. Like that's what I keep on getting around it. Somebody being like, I'm observing that didn't have to be that way. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for confirming, Minnie. Julia, I got you one card, highest and best. Um, yeah, like it says to me, like I feel like there's something important about that guide helping you right now. And it's interesting too, because I mean yeah, especially with this four of pentacles, like working, I keep on getting like working into like it's like sometimes like it's basically, I feel like this is a guide that's helping you learn how to trust your instincts about things. And what's hard about the thing about trusting your instinct, and I'll just put it this way, someone will, when you're trusting your instinct and someone goes, was that really necessary? Right? Like right? Like often the space of you trusting your instinct, when you hear was that really necessary, you know that you're moving in the right direction. Right? Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, dear. Yep. Hi there, Erica. Can I get an energetic read on that situation? Um, what am I like? The thing I'm seeing is, I feel like you have to have a conversation with them, right? Because the thing about it, I'm just getting a read on this. There's something about, I keep on seeing, especially if there's something there, um, you have to have a conversation with them about their purpose in being there and understanding that I don't know why, but it feels like there might be something about it that's a little bit harder for them. Um, like given the fact, like I keep on seeing, especially with this four, like this four of cups, pentacles in its reversal is, like the best way I can describe it is giving someone the energetic confidence to understand, like what like what they like thing I keep on seeing situations or circumstances by which, um like it says, like if they're on a journey of finding their authenticity, right, then the observation of being able to understand fully understanding the nature of the energy that's around them, and how, like I keep on hearing, make sure that you're seeing how that the energy, that where they are, how they feel about authenticity, right? Because it says, like what's interesting about it is I don't necessarily, like I feel like there's something here that they can navigate, but you're going to have to help them through it, is what I keep on seeing. And when I say helping them through it, is being able for them to have, um the like them to have a pressure release, as it were, in terms of another person, right, working through something that they themselves, like I don't know, like making, like especially if there's something about what they believe versus versus the shape of others beliefs. So making sure that you're having those conversations with them about how, like not only how they feel about things, but how they effectively navigate those differences, is what I keep on seeing. You have to have a conversation with them about it. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I got you, Bridget. Mm-hmm. I got you. Okay, one card for Bridget, please. We've got the Four of Wands and it's upright. So the Four of Wands and it's upright, um, I feel like this is a lot of energy that I'm seeing right now in relation to you helping another person find their confidence. But it's not even that. Like I feel like I see you, like I feel like there's a new path opening to you in like often in like the shape of being able, like, and it feels very similar to something that I see that you were doing in a past life, right? Like I keep on saying, does this feel familiar? Is what I keep on getting. I feel like I feel like you've inadvertently connected into something that you used to do very robustly in a past life, because what this is basically articulating is you kind of like you finding something that you're doing right now that creates a deep feeling and bliss in you, that could potentially be the beginning of a new energetic experience, right? Like pay attention. Remember I said follow that bliss. I'm so glad to hear that, Julia. I got you. Absolutely, as. I appreciate that, laughing. We can have a conversation about it if you want to send me a direct message. Nash, you're welcome to ask any questions here in the chat space, but if you'd like cards pulled, that would require a donation. These are donation-based readings. We did a free collective already today. How you doing today, Lisa? Hi there, Paige. How are you doing today? Excellent. Mm-hmm. I got you. One card for Yaz, please. So it's interesting because I feel like I see you. I feel like I see you starting some kind of new project. But the thing about it is, I keep on seeing like this is really good energy for you. I feel like this is really good energy for you in terms of laying the groundwork for something or starting some kind of plan, is what I get. Yeah. Like particularly and especially with this 7 of Cups in its reversal. Everything, listen, everything is possible so long as you're doing something, right? Um, in a small, like, allow for the observation of doing something in a small way to get everything done, right? A little bit every day goes a long way. So um, don't get too hard on yourself if you're making some kind of energetic adjustment. But remember, like, that quality of you being able to bring some kind of foresight to something, right? Like it feels like, I feel like it's almost you being able to finally like work through something in a way that it doesn't feel like it devastates you. It feels like you're ready to energetically tackle it, is what I keep on getting. I got you, Melissa. One card, highest priority, please. I think I heard you a card, female, didn't I? Yeah. One moment. Excellent. All right, my friends. Final call right now for anyone who is a super fam or a paid member who has not had a card pulled. Or if I missed you, just go ahead and re-put your question back up. Okay, thank you, Mel. One card, please. Highest priority. Yeah, you know what? I feel like there's something important I see you doing right now in terms of doing some kind of catch up or being able to get back to someone in some way, because you're finally like, I feel like you're finally in the space by which you have the headspace, right? Bottom of the deck. Yeah, especially the thing with the Knight of Wands. Um, the thing with the Knight of Wands in its reversal is it says like there's something important. There's something important to be identified. Um, there's something important to be identified in relation to having um, a productive conversation with another person. And what I mean by that is um, like the best way I can describe it, like especially with this the Animal Oracle card here. Yeah. Um, sometimes we need time to percolate on something, right? So your ability to effectively articulate to another that like your ability to effectively let another person know that you're energetically percolating on something, or you're recognizing and identifying um what might be a good energetic opportunity. Like it's interesting too because it feels a little bit like some kind of energy of collaboration. But I keep on getting, if you're in the midst right? If you're in the midst of doing something really big right now, then the ability to effectively have to, like, sometimes you can say to somebody like, I can't do that now, but that might be something that I can do later on or later down the line, right? Is understanding that sometimes it's good to put that idea there, because like I just keep on getting the same message. What it might be like I can't now can become like I'm ready, like I'm ready now, right? So just don't get frustrated if you're putting ideas out and they don't feel like they're immediately coming back to you. Remember that there's something about you planting seeds at this time. Absolutely. You're so welcome, Per. Absolutely. Excellent. All right, my friends, I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages. Just a reminder, if you missed the Daily Collective, it'll be up. It'll be up over on the place where we keep the videos. It'll also be up shortly over on the stack. We are going to be we'll be back on tomorrow at our standard time. So we'll be back on tomorrow at around 8 a.m. PST, 11 a.m. Eastern. If you would like to get on the list for a reading tomorrow, you can get on the list today and you'll be prioritized tomorrow, which means you'll be read for before we start the Daily Collective. I also would like to remind you that tomorrow evening we will be having our tarot class. We'll be focusing our studies on the 3 cards of the minor arcana. And if you'd like to become part of that class program, all you need to do is head on over to my profile and become a paid subscriber over on the stack. Your paid subscription is your entry into our class tomorrow. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today. And if you became a super fan or a subscriber today, welcome. Message me directly with a disco gift and I'll send you an invite to our subscriber only disco channel. You can introduce yourselves to the collective there. You'll also find there a special coupon code that will give you a discount to our tarot class subscription program. I hope you guys have an absolutely beautiful day. Huge thank you to all of my followers, old and new. Oh, I got you, Ruby. I see you. Okay, hold on a minute. I got you, dear. Yep. One card, please. One card, please, for Ruby. What do we have here? I've got the 4 of Cups in its reversal. So I feel like I see somebody that's really trying to struggle to figure out what it is that they're looking for. Yeah, especially with this Knight of Wands. Like, it's hard because I literally see somebody that knows, like, with you, it's serious or not at all, right? Like, they care about you so much that they don't energetically want to waste your time. But also, like, the space by which they're identifying, and, like, it feels like I see somebody that recognizes that, like, to be in a relationship with you, like, they have to, like they have to step it up is what I keep on getting, right? Like there's no testing the waters. It's either serious or not at all, right? So it feels like somebody very respective of the fact that that's how they have to be if they come towards you. My friends, I want to thank you. You're so welcome, Daniela. Again, huge thank you to my followers, old and new. Thank you for being here today and sharing in these messages. Huge thank you to my subscribers. Your ongoing support means the absolute world to me. I hope you guys have an absolutely beautiful day. Please take care of yourselves. Please take care of one another, and we'll do this again tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.